Good day, fellowship of the clouds, fellow people of the internet. I'd already started recording a video about what I'm about to talk about. I'm going to talk about, I had 2 appointments scheduled today, but ended up only having to have one of them. Well, I'm going to tell you the story in just a second. I'm going to make this video, uploading it, and I'll do a don't sweat the small stuff. Yeah, I'll stick to my routine. I'll do a don't sweat the small stuff here in a little bit after I've got what I needed to talk about out on this video, and I'll go ahead and upload this. And then in a little while, I'll put some time to the side to make a don't sweat the small stuff video. And it's all small stuff. So at 9:15 this morning, I had an appointment with the one general surgeon that I've been seeing for a while that's cut 2 cysts out of my back and is addressing the wound on my knee. And also, we know I have a hernia that eventually we'll get something done about. Then I was supposed to get out of that, and then at 10:40, I was going to have an appointment at the other general surgeon, which was in the same place pretty much. Like, one office is here, and then over there was the other. And he was who I'd been seeing about my toe for the past few weeks. Well, the truth is, I only saw him one time, and that was last week. The other 2 times I went to his office, I only saw the nurses. The doctor I saw today, Dr. Isbell, the guy that I've seen several different times because he has actually worked on things. Like I said, he's cut 2 cysts out of my back. He's addressing this wound on my knee, which it looks like it may be on completely, it's almost completely healed, and he doesn't have to do a deep cleaning. Hopefully that continues to, hopefully it doesn't start doing what it used to be doing, which was over the past, I've had that wound on my knee for years, for about 4 years, where it would try to heal, scab over, close up, and then so many days later, it would have built up some pus or something, you know, like where there was a little bit of infection. And then, of course, that breaks the skin open again, and then it just started all over again. But it's looking like it's almost completely healed on its own without him having to go in there and exploring and trying to clean out whatever infection was in there. So, but the thing is when I was sitting in the office, they got me in that room, nurses, you know, checking my blood pressure and stuff. She said, he'll be right here. And he came in. Of course, I was there about my knee, but he said, so I was talking about my knee. But one of the first things he said to me was, what's the deal with your toe? Now, I did mention to the nurse right before this. She had said, how are you doing? I was like, I ain't been doing that great. I'm dealing with a toe that's giving problems. And I didn't give no details. Didn't tell him what doctor I'm seeing. Didn't even tell him I'd been to the ER or anything. So when he came in there like that, I could tell it. Like, I was like, it's infected. You know, I went to the, I said, but he said, let me see the toe. They should have sent you to me. I'm your doctor. So I was having to explain to him, like, he was pretty mad. He was madder than H-E-double-L, I'd tell you that. He was mad. He wasn't happy. He said, I have told them, he said, I've had 1,000 conversations with them about this. So this seems like this is something that's went on before, and it's a regular occurrence for him, that maybe someone's already a patient of his but has some kind of emergency, so they go to the ER. Then the ER refers them to a different general surgeon instead of looking at their records or listening to the person and contacting him, and then them coming to him. And, you know, I can imagine why you would be mad. It wasn't the other doctor's fault. Because I told him, I said, well, when I was in the ER and they came back to tell me that they believed there was infection in the bone of my toe, and they needed to talk to a general surgeon about it, blah, blah, blah. And the general surgeon that happened to be on duty was the guy that I had been seeing for the past few weeks or whatever I saw last week, and then his nurses the other 2 times. So they talked to him, and he said, "No, you don't have to stay the night. They didn't need to. They did. It wasn't so bad they needed to keep me and try to remove the toe the next day or anything." Well, I've been going for like several weeks. I was dealing with the ER like almost 3 weeks ago, and we're almost we're like kind of into the 4th week now, and I'm glad it happened the way it did, because last week when I finally seen that doctor, he thinks, "Oh, well, I think we can keep the toe." And I was so ecstatic about that. But the guy today, he looked at the toe and he tells me, "You have infection. The bone has some infection on the tip of the toe." He said, "And the quickest and best way to handle this is," he showed me, like if this was the tip of my toe, he brought his finger down like so far, let's say, about a little over halfway down, and he said, "We'll just take about that much off, and I can do it right here in the office." Now, before he, as he was saying that, I was like, "Well, I've got another appointment after this with Dr. Thompson over there about this." He said, "Don't go." I said, "Well, what do I do?" He said, "We'll handle it." He said, "I'm not." He said, I was like thinking I had done something wrong. I said, "Well, sir, I wouldn't have." I said, I thought about calling your office and getting it set up here, and I told them about you at the ER. I told them you had already cut 2 cysts out of my back and was also sending me about my knee and my hernia. But they still proceeded to push the other guy onto me. So the only reason I even called that other office was because in my mind I thought, okay, this is who they taught, like at the ER, this is who was on call as a general surgeon that night, and he had already seen what was going on with me and expected me to be coming in the next day or whatever. So, or calling and getting the appointment set up or whatever it was I had to do. But I know I went the very next day in there. So, that's the only reason I did that. But my gut instinct the very next day was to just not call that doctor and call the guy I've been seeing, but I didn't. So now I know, go with my gut instinct, because I don't know what the doctor that from last week would have said today. I don't know if he had looked at my toe and done the same thing, but he was giving me the impression last week he thought we really could keep the toe. And Dr. Israel says basically, to try to keep the toe, I would have to go through a regimen of IV antibiotics. And then if I do that at home, I would have to go have, like my friend David that took me down there, he's went through this already, and he went through a process of 6 months of them trying to keep the toe, and at some point getting put on IV antibiotics, and they had to put a port in him so he could have the IV antibiotics every day, ran into him. And even after a 6-month period, now he wasn't taking IV antibiotics the whole 6 months, but I guess he was taking, oral antibiotics, seeing the doctor. They're trying to keep the toe. Then it got down to where we need to run these IVs on you for 6 or 8 weeks, and then he still ended up missing his toe. Matter of fact, David is who originally referred me to Dr. Isbell, the guy that is going to remove my toe. So basically, because David said when he finally ended up seeing Dr. Isbell about some kind of infection on his foot and everything, like at this point he had already had his toe removed, but Dr. Isbell was not very happy at that point because he was like, "You should have just came to me in the first place." So, but Dr. Isbell's saying that I can come in next Thursday. It's like the appointment's at 3:00 or something. And he can take off that piece of the toe right there in the office. I don't have to have some kind of scheduled appointment and go in the hospital to have this thing removed or anything, because it's not so infected. So that's cool, like I would rather it be taken off and we be done with it, and I go on my way healing and learn how to walk with part of a missing toe, than have went through everything I've went through in the past few weeks. So, I'm learning, if I trusted my gut and called who I should have called, I would have probably had the toe removed and been better and not dealing with the toe anymore. But, life is it's a learning lesson. Because I think about it, I almost canceled my first appointment and just went to the other guy to see about my toe because I thought, well, that's the most important. What if I'd done that and the other guy today saw it and was still thinking I can keep it and sent me on home? Well, probably what would happen is it would look like it's healed up eventually. Might go through another few months of nothing going on, but since there is infection in the tip of the bone of the toe, it would eventually arise that I'd have a problem with it again. So I would probably end up having to, something would probably have popped up and I'd had to go back to the hospital and go through the whole ordeal again and then still end up having to take it off anyway. So I'm taking this pretty positively, a lot better than I did a few weeks ago when it was looking a lot worse and I went to the ER. So that's a blessing in disguise, if you ask me. So I didn't have to go to my second appointment today, and I was with my friend David, and he blessed me today. We went by the grocery store. He helped me get a few things. I have a little bit of money on my card, but he knew that I'm low on funds, and he's like, I'm going to get whatever it is you want in here. And I got some milk and like a couple other things that were marked down meat-wise and a loaf of bread and stuff. And then he bought me a 3-piece chicken meal from Jack's on the way back. So when I got home, I didn't have to worry about making nothing, and I had it already made. It was some fresh, some fried chicken and coleslaw and mashed potatoes and stuff. And I just finished all that and everything. And so when I was trying to make this video earlier, the breaker flipped, and I have my phone plugged in charging right now, so it cut the camera off. Like when the breaker flipped, it caused it sent a surge through the phone and the camera stopped. So that's good because I was trying to eat at the same time and make the video, and I'd rather not be doing that. I've made videos before where I'm trying to eat, but I think I was kind of like just trying to rush things, and it didn't really need to be. It worked out for the best because since then I've done Walked Ladybird a second time today. I got up early enough. I got her out and let her do her thing before we went to the appointments, and then I knew she needed to go again because she pooped twice when I just walked. I'm sure you enjoy hearing about my dog pooping, but anyway, so this is what I wanted to talk about. And if you're new here, then this is probably not the best video you could, like if you're just experiencing this channel for the first time, me talking about my toe is probably not something necessarily you want to hear about. But if you've been following me, you're probably concerned about what's going on with me and stuff. Most of you seem to be genuinely, you share your comments and you really give me feedback and stuff, and I really appreciate it. But what I was going to say, if you have watched till now, I probably should have said it earlier in the video, hit the thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, but you've watched several videos, well, what are you waiting for? Please subscribe. It will help me out, help us out, because eventually I want to grow this thing to where I have to have a little bit of a team. And some of you guys out there that are watching maybe have some kind of knowledge of something to help with the channel when it comes to that point where I can't be doing everything on my own. Like we can do some things without having to be in the same physical space. Like when it comes to like certain editing or anything that someone might be able to do and help me out with later in the future, I can send them whatever needs to be and then correspond through email or on the internet and stuff. But I don't know. That's all in a little bit ahead of us. But what I'm saying is I consider each and every one of you guys that watch, subscribed or not, you're a part of something that is going to be bigger as long as I keep going the way I'm going. And this is the 6th day I'm into being sober again. Now, I didn't go off the deep end last week or nothing, but I did drink for a few days. Now, I know I keep bringing that up, but I just, for anybody that didn't know, I've had a long stretch of working on sobriety, and I'll get some good time under my belt, and then I have fumbled several different times, and each time I've never not told anybody about it on the channel. Like I might go a few days before I decide to share it, but I feel that it's necessary for me to be able to stay sober because I'm not able to make meetings and all that some people can or whatever. But I go to church and I do what I can and I rely on God. And but by me being completely as honest as humanly possible to the viewers of this channel, it helps me. And I want y'all to know I sincerely am trying my best to be as authentic as humanly possible. Of course, sometimes you don't want everybody to know everything. I'm bad about just being a completely open book, even in the physical world. I really don't have much qualms about telling anybody anything about my life. For the most part, though, I don't always share every bit of information, but if somebody was to ask me certain questions about my life, and maybe I haven't already shared the details, I'm not going to lie about whatever they're asking me about. I don't want to get into details about some of the stuff that I'm meaning and what I'm thinking in my head, but there's certain questions that could come up that someone may have to me, like, hey, have you ever done this? Have you ever done that? You ever made this mistake? You ever done, and I can say yeah or no and then decide to share more detail if I want to. But that being said, let's wrap this video up and hit the thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and I'm sending y'all the positive energy I can. I'll pray for you guys. I'll keep you in thought and prayer. You keep me in thoughts and your prayers, and let's see what happens. I'm just happy. I'm happy to be on a better. My mind is in a better place than it was a few weeks ago, and I'm coming out of the funk. And moving forward, I hope I'm able to proceed appropriately and get better at doing this YouTube thing. And I'll also throw in there, like I've done over and over, eventually I'm going to be doing a Rumble channel. I had one in the past. It might still be on there, but I will recreate a Rumble channel, and I want to move over there so I can talk more openly about certain subjects and stuff. Also, you can find me on X. Eventually, I want to be doing a lot of content on X. I don't really know how well it works yet, but I do actually pay to have a blue check mark there. So, it's neither here or there. But anyway, till next time, Mr. Gray Cloud, sage of the eternal moment. Eternal moment. Stay in the moment. That's the key thing. Over and out. Ditto.